Welcome to the Richard Nixon Presidential Library. Welcome to our beautiful East Room. My name is Jonathan Mavroidis. And welcome to our friends in the simulcast in Theater 37, named after America's 37th President, Richard Nixon. We will begin tonight's event by honoring our great nation. Will you please all stand for the presentation of the colors and the singing of our national anthem?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking the Esperanza High Air Force JROTC Honor Guard for the presentation of the colors, and Ali Solorio for that beautiful rendition of the national anthem. We welcome you today. We, of course, welcome you to tour our newly designed galleries, which our distinguished speaker also toured today. It's a very exciting time in the Nixon Library. Over the past few weeks, we've launched two very important and entertaining and eye-opening exhibits. One is called Why They Wore It, the politics and pop culture of First Lady's fashion. The original and colorful exhibit breaks new ground by exploring for the first time how each First Lady used their favorite styles to advance her own and her husband's agenda by embracing special causes and promoting political positions. More than 20 formal gowns and pieces of apparel of America First Ladies are on display, including a dress worn by First Lady Melania Trump, which is making its debut outside Washington for the first time. This exhibit also features weekly Wednesday luncheons throughout August and September, featuring experts and historians on First Ladies, so please check that out at nixonfoundation.org. Another exhibit takes you on the journey back to the once-in-a-lifetime election year, 50 years ago. It's called Vote Like Your World Depended on It, the story of the 1968 election. The 1968 election was a flashpoint in American history that encapsulated the chaos of the time, with casualty counts mounting as the Vietnam War waged on. The civil rights movement was at its fever pitch when in April 1969, Martin Luther King was assassinated. This was followed by the assassination of Robert F. Kennedy. And this was the context in which Richard Nixon was elected president in 1968 by historically slim margin. We've turned back the clock on this fateful year with this interactive exhibit that allowed you to sit in a family room, pop in a Simon and Garfunkel LP, and take in the CBS News with Walter Cronkite. This will be on display through November 6th, the day 50 years ago to the day Richard Nixon was elected President of the United States. Now to introduce our distinguished speaker. He's been called the most dangerous man on television by the Weekly Standard for his subversive stink bombs hurled at faculty lounges, news people, and movie studios. You know him from Fox News The Five and his weekly The Greg Gutfeld Show and his previous midnight show, Red Eye. He's the author of several books, including How to Be Right, Not Cool, and The Joy of Hate. The late Andrew Breitbart said of Greg, quote, "You don't want him setting his sights on your hypocrisy and public failings." And his newest book, called The Gutfeld Monologues, which we'll speak about tonight and autograph for you afterward, has his sights on college campuses, environmentalists, identity politics, and especially Hollywood. Just to give you a taste of one such monologue, Greg writes, quote, "Our celebrities are still here and more unstable than ever. And thank God for that, because as you can tell, without them, I would be out of a job. Seriously, the previous 27 pages would have been blank were it not for them. And I would have to write about something else, like geopolitical issues, which would suck, because I don't know anything about that crap. Celebrity instability is my wheelhouse, and I hope it never goes away, for my sake." Ladies and gentlemen, Greg Gutfeld.
Let's get after it. What the hell does that mean? What is it that Chris Cuomo is trying to get after? You know, people know that I'm kind of agnostic, but I now believe in God. Because just as I was getting bored with Rachel Maddow, God gave us Chris Cuomo. Seriously, what is wrong with him? He always seems like he's on the verge of tears. Anyway, enough about him. Well, I'll talk about him later. I know that recently you've had a lot of great people appear here. You had Brett Baer. Yeah. Sean Spicer. Dana Perino was here. Brian Kilmeade. Yeah. Now you have me. So it's good to see you finally stepped up your game. I mean, really. You know what's great? You know what's funny? What a letdown. You're getting Tucker in October. I mean, why bother at this point? You know, I love Tucker for two things. One, the Tucker face. You know what I mean? It's like when he has somebody on who's nuts, and Tucker's face is just, you can't see my impression, but it's completely stoic and intense. His eyes are just focused. He's like a dog at the window of a butcher shop. And the best thing about Tucker is what he does after every interview. After he has eviscerated and basically drilled 3 new rectums, he always says, "Thanks for coming on the show." Thanks. And it's just, and he said, yeah, and he means it. Thanks. It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. So anyway, this is just interesting. I'm adding this to my talk here because I went and saw the new additions to the library, and as you know, if you look at the media, every single day we are living through the apocalypse. It's the end of the world every single day, and it's like you wake up and we're still here, and it makes no sense. And so I'm going like, what the hell is going on? And then I go into this section of the Nixon Library that's brand new, and it shows the first year, 1968. There is nothing as bad as 1968. You had a war, you had riots, you had protests, you had domestic terrorism, domestic bombings, you had just worldwide, you had communism. The only thing that was missing was asteroids, space aliens, and Rosie O'Donnell. So I want to tell you. So my point is this, and I know the phrase fake news is overused, but what we're hearing today is not new, and it's not real. And it makes me think about when I was a kid. I was like, I don't know, 1964, 1974. I was 8 years old under Nixon. Everything I heard was wrong. I'm beginning to think that everything was wrong. And because I'm living through it right now. I'm seeing what's happening, and I'm going, okay, we can't compare. I mean, Trump's a different entity. He's an orange meteor. Wherever he goes. But anyway, my point is this. I look and I go, nothing is like 1968. But we're told every day is worse than 1968. And so it's not true. We know it's not true. It's a lie. And it's like I think that the reason why this library is so important, to me anyway, was that display of walking in and seeing that, like, how much progress has been made and how the media has twisted history and now twists present day. I call the Democratic Party the demon party because it's like what movie was it? Rosemary's Baby? So Rosemary is essentially the Democratic Party, and the baby is identity politics. So they've given birth to a demon, right? And the demon party it's grown from the left, and what it's doing, and it's seemingly out of control, is all it does is demonize. It's demonizing. And I realize when I'm sitting there and I'm inside the Nixon Library, and I'm going, okay, this is where it started, where the personal was political, and where you just went after people, and it wasn't because they were wrong, right? So Charles Krauthammer used to say, as a conservative, you believe liberals are wrong, but they think you're evil. And that's the beginning of the idea of being able to exact violence in the streets, to look at Antifa and go, they're an anti-hate group. As they beat people unconscious with bicycle locks, and then they get off. They get off. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what happened, whoever said that. But they also don't bathe, and that's another problem. But I think it's great to be here. I think it's great for you guys to see me without constant interruptions by William. You thought I was going to talk about Juan Williams, but I wasn't. I was going to say constant interruptions by William Devane. And catheter commercials. I mean, it's either William Devane trying to take your last penny to buy gold. This is what I don't get. He'll say, now's never been a better time to buy gold. Well, what about last month when you said that? This drives me crazy. William Devane drives me crazy. His hair is too good for that age. Also, but he pales in comparison to the My Pillow guy. He looks like he just escaped from an episode of Forensic Files. I mean, it's not a good look to be standing over a sleeping woman. Do you notice that when the woman, he's analyzing how she's sleeping? It's like, I'm ready to say it's great for sleeping and smothering. We have great ads at FNC, and I thank them for my support. Without them, I'd have no job. I love bathtub fitters. That is such a guy idea. It's like, man, this bathtub sucks. What do you want to do? Let's put a new one over it. It's like, imagine doing that with your apparel. It's like you wake up and you got a dirty shirt. It's like, let's put another one over it. No one will know. These ads, I see them in my dreams. I see William Devane, gliding up an acorn stair lift with a cachet of solid gold and silver catheters. Wearing nothing but a see-through Snuggie, holding a Vermont teddy bear, wearing a Life Alert bracelet, guzzling Super Beats. The Life Alert commercial always kills me because obviously the lady has fallen and she can't get up, and I just find it cruel that they film a commercial instead of helping her. Anyway, everybody at Fox has a book. I got a book. Greg Jarrett's got a book. Judge Jeanine has a book. Yeah. So what's it called? Liars, liberals, and leakers. Or is it liberals, leakers, and liars? I don't know what order to put it in, but President Trump is the greatest president in the history of the world. I can't tell if I'm doing Judge Jeanine or Judge Napolitano there. Because he always said, it's not in the Constitution. I think next month, Tucker's got a book, then Ducey has a book. I was surprised. I didn't know he could read. Who knew the best literacy campaign ever is Donald Trump? No, it's true. It is true. But I'm not here because of the book. I don't really care about selling books. I know that's crazy, but I'm a writer, and thank you. And I'm saying that now because you already bought them. I'm a selfless person, but I'm very grateful for you guys because it's not about the book and it's not about the show. It's about the fans, who actually support us, and that means a lot to me as somebody who's been for the longest time been considered, kind of weird. And I'm a 53-year-old man who has a unicorn collection. Yep. I have not been here at this library, I think, in 3 years, right? It was 2015. Thank God nothing's happened since then. I'm serious, comparing 2015 to now is like comparing High Noon to Brokeback Mountain. It's weird. Under Trump, so many things are happening. It's as if they're happening at once. It's as if God said, this whole time concept, it's pouring the hell out of me. Instead of things happening on Monday and then something on Tuesday and then something on Wednesday, let's have everything at once. I shall invent Trump. And so since this Trump era has begun, we've seen the end of political eras, right? All kinds of political eras. First, we saw the implosion of the Clinton dynasty. It's insane. But it was just like that pantsuit just went up in smoke. Trump triggers spontaneous combustion among celebrities and any fragile mind. 1 minute there's Kathy Griffin, the next minute a skid mark. But Thank God everything at Fox News was normal. A calm stroll at the beach. Nothing going on there, eh? No, but that's the reason why I bring that up is I'm actually kind of serious. We went through some seriously tough times. I think we lost like 75% of our primetime programs, right? I think that was it, like 3 out of 4. You know, you lost O'Reilly, you lost Megan, you lost Greta. I know. I lost a lot of sleep. No. No one better be filming this. But we are stronger than ever, and the reason why is because of you guys. You stuck by us. I mean, that's why I always feel like when I'm doing stuff like this, it's less than a speech or about a book. It's about thanking you. That I have to come out here and I have to thank you first, because no matter what happens, you guys are faithful and you're always there when the dust settles. If it weren't for you, I would be nowhere, or worse, headline news. I mean, despite the changes on the 5, as you know, the show is bigger than ever. The numbers are bigger. I know it's what I think it's because it's actual people talking to each other. You feel like you know us. It's a relationship. It's not like The View, where every day is an Easter egg hunt for the last remaining brain cell. It really is. It's like the knitting circle in Hades. But we sit around and we talk to each other, and I always say, Fox News, it's a relationship, it's not a network. Who has relationships with networks? It doesn't make sense, but for some reason, you know me and I know you. It's very interesting because I feel like whenever I talk to people, you guys know kind of who I am, and it's really easy to talk to me, and it's easy for me to talk to you, as long as you have the proper hygiene. CNN, though, if you look at CNN, every anchor seems to be a different version of the same anchor, right? It's like they created Anderson Cooper in a lab, and then they cloned different versions of him. Female Anderson Cooper, black Anderson Cooper, yeah. And then there's Brian Stelter. You know, he would narc on you for a ham sandwich. I'm pretty certain he smells like butter. I don't even know what that means. But I say that CNN stands for Cable's Nosy Neighbor, because you notice that they're always thinking on people. You know, they're always there like, oh my God, did you see what this person did? First it started with Law and Order, then it was with Trump, and it's like Brian Stelter's going on Twitter, did you see what Trump just did? And it's like, dude, stop it. It's like you're a fink. I mean, what is this? What you were in high school? I mean, it's like they're always operating in constant discomfort, as though they're inhaling a dog fart. Then MSNBC, if CNN is your nosy neighbor, MSC is your crazy neighbor. Every action is part of some giant conspiracy. If MSNBC were a person, it would be that guy on the corner, shouting that the end is near, and he was in such a panic he forgot to wear pants. Like, MSNBC is a cross between a teacher's lounge and rabies. Boy, you should see some of the jokes I removed. Yes. But like I said, Fox News is different. It's a relationship. It's also, we're not perfect. I think you've noticed that, right? But you know what the alternative to being perfect is? Being human. It's a human place, right? And you know that when you see us, and you forgive our stupidity at sometimes, and the fights, and even you end up liking some of the people that you disagree with, I would hope, because they make all of us better. I'll get to that in a second. But the great thing about fans, it's like being in a band where everybody who likes you knows you, but everybody else doesn't, or maybe they saw you, maybe like some kid went home for the holidays and I was on the TV, and it's like, I don't like that guy. I don't know who he is. But like being a right-winger, working for Fox in New York, it's like being a Satanist in the Vatican. Or a belt in Michael Moore's house. Or a brain cell in Maxine Waters' head. Or, I'll stop. Did I ever tell you the story, if there's people that have been here, about what happened to me at Newark Airport? Good, all right, so that's a good story. So this is a good illustration of the weird world you live in at Fox. People, if they know you, they love you. The people who hate you, or the people who hate Fox don't know you. But there's this weird little world where they've seen you, but they don't know why. So my wife is flying in from one country, and I'm flying in from another. I land before her. I go to this bar at Newark, and I'm sitting there, and I realize it's starting to happen. There's a guy staring at me, and he's pegged me. He knows who I am, and he's working up the courage to come over and say something, and I'm sitting there drinking a glass of Pinot, and I'm going, here he comes, and he gets up and he's pissed, and I'm waiting, and he comes up and he goes, I just want to say, he was actually an older guy. He said, I just want to say that you should be ashamed of what you do for a living and who you work for. And I'm like, all right. And I go, what could get worse than this? Because he didn't leave. And then he gets closer to my face and he says, TMZ has ruined so many lives. Yeah. So I realized I missed an amazing opportunity. Because how often do you have somebody who's 100% sure you're somebody else, Harvey Levin, and you could actually punch a stranger in the face, and he's going to tell the police it was definitely Harvey Levin. Harvey Levin. Do I look like Harvey Levin? Harvey Levin looks like Jack LaLanne's stunted brother. Remember him in the jumpsuit? Who's handsome? Oh, why, thank you, dear. I am better looking in person. The camera adds 10 pounds and 20% more wrinkles. So I'll talk briefly about the book because I'm looking through here and I want to get to that. And then I want to just address some questions because I want to give you at least 15 minutes to ask me some stuff. So the monologues, why did I do this book? Because people kept asking me where they could find them because they didn't know where they were. So I thought, I'll put them together. Nobody wanted to do the book. So I went to like 3 different publishing companies and they were like, no, we want you to do something else. Can you do this? Can you do that? And I go, no, going to do the monologues. And they just didn't believe it because they didn't think there were people that actually cared. There were enough people, and they were wrong. Because it's number 5 now on the New York Times bestseller list. I started doing monologues on Red Eye, the strangest show ever to be put on television. Imagine trying to make a sandwich at 3 a.m. while you're on meth. That is Red Eye. But God bless FNC, they threw me into a pool whether I could swim or not. I showed up on the first day, and they just tossed me in there. So I started doing these monologues. And the weird thing about the monologues back then was that I was ahead of the crowd on the identity politic thing. So if you remember my monologues, I would always do my monologue, and I'd say, if you disagree with me, you are a racist homophobe. And so when people would report on that, they were reporting on that as though it was real. That he just called, I'm not a racist homophobe. And I go, no, I'm actually making fun of you, because every time a conservative says something, you guys you guys brand them. That's your trick. You just saw it with Ocasio-Cortez and Ben Shapiro, accusing him of catcalling because he challenged her to a debate. I mean, what happens if she, goes to a publishing company and they said, we'd like you to write a book? What is that? I mean, is that assault? I don't know. Makes no sense. So how do I do the monos? The monologues exist, and the reason why I think they're unique is there are two things I'm trying to accomplish. And number one is when I get up in the morning and I make coffee, I look at the news and I try to figure out what has not been said about a particular issue. So maybe it's about tariffs, or maybe it's about North Korea. And if you're an aspiring writer, you have to think about what's not been said. It's the most important step. What helps me in this is I pretend that I am drunk. Because for some reason, and you can access this without drinking, but you can actually sit and you go like, okay, I'm at a bar, and then you go, the funny thing about like CNN, Trump's like a baked potato for CNN. They make like 100 meals out of it. You got like Trump au gratin, mashed Trump fries, which is true. That's what I came up with. You can start thinking of things, and so you try to come up with the something that hasn't been said. But that's not enough, because you could say anything, like I believe Trump is a space alien. That hasn't been said, so that doesn't work. So the first step is you have to come up with a thing that hasn't been said. But the more important thing is, it has to be something that's in your head that you didn't know was there until I accessed it. And then you go, yep, that's exactly what I was thinking. Exactly. And so if you're on the 5 or you're at it, you're going like, yeah, that's it. I was waiting for that. And it's really weird because I know what it is, but I don't know what it is until it happens. Oh, thank you, dear. But it is a joy to do it. It's a joy to deliver it. I love the book. I am happy that you like it. The book's different because it's 2 books. There's the monologues, and then next to the monologues, I have commentary. So I'm talking about the stuff that's in there. But part of the book is about me coming to grips with Trump, because if you were watching the show, you knew how hard I was on him for like 2015, 2014. And I knew Trump. I knew him fairly well, but he was driving me crazy until I realized 2 things. One, I was a hypocrite in the sense that, I was a hypocrite because I was going after him for making jokes. And that's all I do. It's like, what an idiot. So I realized what he had done was he had reconfigured debates and campaigns as a comedy roast. So he would get up there and he would go, he'd get up there and he'd like look over Rand Paul. He goes, oh, look how far down you are. Hope you don't fall off the stage. That's a comedy roast. But the reason why I was a hypocrite was because, the first debate, I'm sitting there, I'm with my buddy who's a cop, a friend of mine who used to own bars, who works for me now, and a buddy of mine who's a restaurant owner, a cop. There was a bunch of just normal, non-media people. We're watching the first debate, and there's Megyn Kelly, and she's got that $1 million question to Donald Trump. You've said some horrible things about women. You've called them pigs, etc. And he goes, and he does this thing, and he goes, well, to be fair, it was Rosie O'Donnell. So, I don't care who you are. And I honestly believe that Megyn Kelly was stifling a laugh. But she couldn't laugh. But she was like, but in her head, she's going, Jesus, that was the best answer. And everybody, so here's where the hypocrisy comes in. So I stand up from the couch and I go, that's the guy. That's the guy. No, that's what you do. That's what you do. Nobody could have done that. Then the next day, I completely changed my tune. Because when I got there, nobody was taking him seriously. He was mean. He was sexist. He wasn't prepared. So this is what you were getting the media take. And it was a challenge because the people that I love and respect didn't like him. And the people that really loved him, they annoyed me. So, what I was having was an emotional response instead of a rational response. And so I had to learn how to be more rational about this guy. And the second part is During the election, all I had to go with were words, not deeds. And once he became president, I reversed it. It's like now it's deeds and not words. And that's now been pretty easy. In fact, it's actually hilarious. It's fun. I always say this, Donald Trump has reversed the Dean Wormer theory I wrote about in Unspeakable Truths. Remember I said that, like, in every movie, the bad guy's the conservative. He's the Dean Wormer of Animal House. He's the one that's always uptight. And the left, they're Bluto. They're always having fun. They're the Animal House. Trump has completely reversed it. The left is Dean Wormer. CNN is Dean Wormer. Brian Stelter is Dean Wormer. They're all pulling their hair out except for Brian Stelter. I'd say they've turned Anderson Cooper's hair white. It's actually turning reverse white. He now has totally black hair. So it's fun. Once you stick to the deeds, you see the deeds, deregulation, tax cutting, North Korea, which was an amazing thing, I believe, that he could only have pulled off. There's so many things going on. I was against tariffs. I'm waiting to see what happens with that because I'm a libertarian. But I'm watching him do things, and I'm laughing at what he says. And that is a very healthy way to go about it. I know that people want to have questions, and I want to just get the obvious ones out of the way because, like, this always happens when I do this. When we do a Q&A, most of the questions are about the five. And so the first one is, does Juan really believe in the stuff he says? Let's face it. Because I know that there's about 20 of you that have that question. So, yeah, he does. But so what? I mean, so what? Who wants a group of people agreeing with each other? If you need to see people agreeing with each other, go watch Nancy Pelosi talk to herself. You need a nemesis, or it would be really, really boring, because it makes all of us better. I mean, look at CNN, where every Republican, or actually, the Republicans are just Democrats, right? I mean, their idea of a Republican is Anna Navarro, all right? If she is a Republican, so is a pile of discarded swimwear. The other question that I always get is Dana that nice? She has a filthy mouth. Now you know. Now you know what I know. We've pulled back the curtain. Oh, she's so prim and proper. She is, yes. But show her a tape of a guy with an alligator. She calls everybody an asshole. That's all it took? A guy with an alligator? Yeah, no. You finally saw the real thing. Everybody thinks, oh, she's Little Miss Goody Two-Shoes. No, she's Charles Manson in drag. You want to know why her dog Jasper has such a shiny coat? Why don't you ask Dana's interns, who are forced to lick it every morning? Anyway. It's probably pretty bad. But to summarize the five, and this is the secret to the show, and it's probably going to be whoever and we end up adding to the five. The reason why it works is teasing. If people can't tease each other, then it's over. The whole point of teasing is to reduce the incidence of actual violence. You know, it's like first it's dialogue, then it's teasing, and if you really, really, really like somebody, you tease them. And I think the five is what made the five different than all the other shows on TV, is that we so like each other that we can make fun of each other. And you'll see as we rotate in and out with different people, you're going to see what works. Just going by that single rule, you can look and go, they're not teasing. There's no like that chemistry. That's, in my view, the most important thing. And if they don't get that right, you never. It won't be as special. And that's why I always look for people that you can make fun of. And if you don't make fun of somebody, it often means you just don't like them, right? That's why I think Trump loves everybody. I'm ready to take some questions.
Greg, thank you very much. Give him a round of applause,
pleasure.
guys. We're going to jump right into Q&A, and then we're going to jump into a book signing afterwards. Most of you have a copy of the book. If you have not picked one up, pick it up. He's willing to sign it right in front of your face so you know it's not an auto pen. If you buy two, we will give you a commemorative book of the library. This was just produced. It's awesome. It's the history of the library, and it ends with with photographs of the new library. So
and if you buy a third copy of my book, you get the third copy for the exact same price as the others.
This is true. Our first question is going to come from one of our cadets here from the presentation of colors. Ready?
Good afternoon, sir. Can you guys all hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Good afternoon. So you said for the past 5 years that this has been a social media apocalypse. Do you think that we can fix this?
My God, that is a fantastic question, because I wrote a piece on this, which is coming out. This is the question you're asking has a very kind of like complex answer, and I'm going to try to explain it to you. So I have a piece coming out on Fox called Social Media Needs a Jesus. I'm not religious. I am not a religious person, but I understand from my 12 years of Catholic school. Jesus. What happened? All right, I've converted. Woo, baby. So, next question. The idea of somebody sacrificing their lives for you or sacrificing for your sins, the whole reason, or one of the reasons for that, it was so you didn't actually have to do literal sacrifices. So you didn't have to keep killing people. Jesus died for your sins. And the idea, I thought, would be fitting for social media, because in social media, all we're doing is mobbing and crucifying. Mobbing and banishing. We are reliving BC, before Christ, on social media. And I'm trying to figure out, I wrote this piece about why social media needs a Jesus, is that there has to be a symbolic mass, like a mass on social media, so people can actually expunge symbolically that person and then forgive. Because there's no forgiveness on social media. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
Center section, Greg at the back. I've got our next question. Go ahead.
Oh,
Hi,
wait.
Greg. Hi, over here.
Hi.
Hi, I was a huge Andrew Breitbart fan, and I know you were friends with him, and I just wanted to know if you could speak about the influence he had in your career.
Well, he got me to where I am. A lot of people don't know this, and I'll tell the story quickly. I was a magazine editor. I edited Men's Health Stuff magazine and Maxim UK. He launched the Huffington Post. Now, a lot of people don't know that. I had been writing in London, and a friend of mine asked me to start writing for the Huffington Post, with a guy named Matt Labash from the Weekly Standard. I started writing for them and writing really weird stuff. The Huffington Post was like for progressives, and I was like purposely writing like lemon square recipes, because I was trying to subvert it, and I was doing lost and found notices, just really weird things. And what happened was, it became the most popular thing on the Huffington Post. And the guy running it, Andrew Breitbart, was like calling me up going, dude, you can't say this stuff. I was saying really disgusting things about the people that work there and publishing it. I want to say one of them, but I can't. But anyway, so that's how Breitbart and I became really close. We started writing together, and then he told people at the LA office of Fox about me. And I was living in London, and they told somebody in London, and they met with me, and they said, hey, we want to do a show. And I said, I'm in. I flew to New York, met with the powers that be, and I had no experience other than doing like some VH1 and MTV stuff, and they just gave me a job. All of this had nothing to do with my writing experience, my magazines, or even my reel. I had like a couple hundred shows I'd done, little guest spots. They didn't even look at it. So it all came down to writing for free at the Huffington Post and a good friend of yours who they respect, Breitbart. I mean, if it wasn't for Breitbart, I wouldn't be here.
Fourth row back in the center, Greg.
Hey, Greg, when conservatives come to California, it's always the same kind of tour. You do the Reagan Library one night, the Nixon Library next. When can we see you give a speech and sell your book at your alma mater? And what would that look like?
Oh, at Berkeley? I did a speech at Berkeley. It was interesting about 6, maybe 7, 8 years ago, and nothing happened. Because they did it on spring break. I was so worried when I showed up there, and then I got to the campus, and there was nobody there. And so it was spring break, and then I did but still 100 people showed up, and it was really weird because the audience was really freaky looking, and I'm like going, we have to do something because this is obviously before Antifa and all that stuff and the protests, and I'm like, this looks really bad. And it turned out the freaky people were my fans. Red Eye fans.
Right to your right, sir.
How you doing? You give references to Donald Trump as being the punk rock president.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And, dude, it's pretty much it. And I just want you to elaborate on that because that's just kind of hits the nail on the head for my generation.
I made this metaphor on the 5 where I was talking about how in the 1970s there was this scourge of light rock, like Air Supply, ABBA, the Carpenters, and AM radio just was like, it was really bland. And then there was this band out of Queens, which is where Trump is from, a band called the Ramones. And they went to London for a tour. I guess this had to be in '76. And when they went there, it was like they were Johnny Appleseed of punk. They did a bunch of concerts, and every single person at the shows started a band. They just was like, that's it. So you got the Sex Pistols, you got the Clash, you got the Damned, you got Sham 69, you got all these crazy bands. And what happened was you had this eruption, and all of this soft rock was just like nobody could listen to it anymore because there was this incredible, short, rude, abrupt, but incredibly powerful message that was like that from your gut, telling you truths in 2.5 minutes. Whereas Emerson, Lake, and Palmer would take 30 minutes, side A, to get to their point. And then the Ramones would be beat on the brat with a baseball bat. You know, and you'd be like, I get it, Anarchy in the UK, Pretty Vague, all these great songs. So what Trump coming, I wrote this when Trump was in England, because it made me laugh when he went there and they were all like flipping out, and I go, they don't see it. He's the punk rock president. Instead, you should be like cheering this guy. You know, and I mean, he's just coming in. He doesn't give it. And it's so great with that stupid balloon. Where did that balloon go? I mean, he popped that balloon. So he's the punk rock president. He has, and that's why everybody got so disrupted. I remember punk. I was scared by it. I had the Sex Pistols album when it came out, I guess 77, 76. I didn't play it for like 6 months. I kept it. It was this pink album, and it just scared me. And I'd seen pictures of Sid Vicious and Johnny Rotten, and by the way, Johnny Rotten, fan of Trump. A lot of these punks are fans of Trump because they understand the renegade nature of it. And I guess I explained the metaphor. I think I did.
Far to your right, sir.
Greg, welcome to Southern California.
Thank
We're
you.
so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
My question is, with the exit of Kimberly Guilfoyle, KG, which we all love, I'm just curious as to, do you have a take on, is it Kennedy, is it Kat, is it Candace? By the way, Tyrus did a great job today in your absence.
Well, the good thing is, if you do put Tyrus in that chair, he has amazing legs, and there's low odds that he will marry a Trump. What? That was a compliment. I can't say because I would get in trouble. Like, what can I say? That's above my pay grade. But I would say, if I was asked advice, if somebody's natural is engaging in conversation. That means looking at the people around them when they're talking. That's very important. If you're listening a little bit, even a little bit, I sometimes don't listen. You can see me on the show, right? I don't listen like half the time I'm not listening. Let's be honest. You can tell I'm like over here staring, but it's because I already know where it's going, and I'm just waiting for the thing to kind of curve off, and then I come in and I go ah and say something. But teasing. You got to know how to tease. It's like I don't want to say who we had on the show. I remember. I can't remember what I said, but it was like, I don't appreciate that. He said during the break, I go, what? He goes, I don't appreciate you saying that. And I go, what are you talking about? You know, and I go, that was a joke, and this is the 5. And that's what we do. And, okay, I won't ever tease you again, meaning you won't be around much longer. Anyway. What? No. No, it wasn't. No comment.
Right here to your left, sir.
Okay, Omarosa just gave you a bunch of material. Where are you going with that?
What I find interesting is the thing that, and I told Tyrus this morning if he needed a talking point, when they have the tape and they have Trump saying, I didn't know you were fired, and he swore, and it's like, that's exactly what I would say. Okay, back to the show. Example. A guest will call me for the GG show or for Red Eye and go, why was I canceled? I was scheduled to be on your show. Why was I canceled? And I canceled him. There's no question. I canceled him, but I never take credit for it. I go, what? You were canceled? Let me talk to the producers. That is so unacceptable. But that's exactly what Trump did. It's like, that's what you do when you're the boss. It's like, I don't want to deal with that, and I don't want to deal with trouble. So and also, I don't want to tell somebody why I canceled you. It's like, because then I have to be really honest. I have to say, you're not funny. You're not funny. You're not. If it's a serious topic, you're not serious enough, or you're not funny, or you're just like everybody else. Nobody wants to hear that. So I just blamed some producer.
Sir, all the way in the very back of the room, back here.
Hey, Greg. Hi, Margaret with your Belinda. How did you and Tyrus connect?
It was on Tinder. No. So easy. I'll tell you how. It's a great question, because how did I hire people like Andy Levy? How did I hire Bill Schultz? Tyrus emailed me and said, or I don't know how he got a hold of me. He says, dude, I watched the show. I think I'd be good on it. And I'm like, normally I get a lot of those, but I'll look. And I went, I looked at his videos on of his wrestling, and I go, I like this guy. And there's something magnetic about him that isn't like anybody else. I know it sounds stupid, but he reminds me a little of me in the sense that we're both black, and no, but it's but there, you can tell what he does is that he thinks a lot about something and then acts like he didn't think that much. It's like, here's how it goes. And then he'll just go through this, and you go, you know what? That's really profound, and he thought about it. But he pretends like he didn't really think about it. But he thought about it, and he's really good. And I love the fact that he controls the pace when he's talking, and he's in his zone, and he's so smart. But so that was an email, and that's, the same. Remember, I got Andy Levy on Red Eye from leaving comments on my blog on the Huffington Post. The only job in history where leaving a comment led to anything positive.
Sir, far right.
Yep.
Yes, I'd like to ask you, since you've done several segments on California, but what's your take for California's election this coming November?
I'm just sad, and I'm sad and regret about California, because this is my state. I grew up in Northern Cal, and I have to say, maybe it's not as bad down here. Okay. But In Northern California, man, it's a shit show. When I took my mom before she died, I took her on BART, and they had to close down the escalator because they had to clear it of human feces that had grinded up the gears. And so my mom this is a terrible story, but I'm just telling you that it's so filthy and so dirty, and it's like you're the richest state in the world and you can't fix this. Yes.
Our next question from 15-year-old Maddie O'Neill.
Hi. Out of all of the monologues in your book, which one is your favorite and why?
I don't know. That's like Genghis Khan being asked which one's his favorite child. Or Kirk Douglas. Not much to choose from. I don't know. I guess I wrote a lot on terror. There's a whole, and it's so strange because the chapter's really big, but we don't talk about it much anymore because of ISIS being pretty much crushed for now. But it will change. It's going to change. It will come. Terror. I coined this phrase called terror change. We're so consumed by climate change, but it's terror change that is the real problem, which means terror always changes, and it's deliberately trying to get you, unlike lightning. So I think that there's a whole thing, a monologue I wrote called Terror Week. When I did it when I was watching Shark Week, and I thought that'd be great if we did a Terror Week where every night you did a different terrorist group, because people got to know this stuff.
Our last question is from James, who's 10 years old, from Kingsburg, California. James, what's your question?
James, I'm sorry I was swearing earlier. I didn't see you over there.
Should my mom let me watch your show?
It's a good question. It's a good question. Unequivocally, yes. I'll tell you why. When I was 10, the best thing my mom did was buy me Mad Magazine. And Mad Magazine, I didn't really understand anything. And then right around 12, because I was homesick, and my mom couldn't find Mad, so she brought this other magazine home called National Lampoon. There was like stuff in there that I shouldn't have seen. Do you remember the photo funnies? I won't get into it. You're not old enough. But the photo funnies, they had models and stuff, and I was like going, oh my God, but that's introduced me to P.J. O'Rourke, his writing, and now I know him well, and it's really cool. But I think that if you got a sense of humor, it's really important to be introduced to stuff when you're young. And then I look at everything from, the way my progression all started from your age, finding something funny. Wacky, do you guys remember Wacky Packages? That was I got into Wacky Packages, then Mad, then National Lampoon, avoided Crazy and Crack, that was weird, and then got into Fernwood Tonight, America Tonight, weird stuff like that.
Greg, thank you. Ladies and
Thank you,
gentlemen,
guys.
give him a round of applause. He'll be available in the Annenberg Court to sign copies of the Gutfeld Monologues. Thank you for coming out. Good night.